it's a really good thing sometimes to just step back and really think about and evaluate our thoughts, our words, and our actions, because they do indeed become our character, and they do indeed in the end determine our destiny also. It comes from the outside, but rather is evil that comes from the inside. That's where evil really starts. That's the start of all evil, from what's in our heart, from perhaps evil thoughts or sinful thoughts that begin in the depths of our heart. We expose our thoughts to sinful or inappropriate things, that then those things can take root in our hearts. Things that we don't want to take root in our hearts. That is, our words have the power to encourage or to discourage, to build up or to tear down. That is, our words can be very powerful, not only the words we speak to others, but the words we speak to ourselves also. Then that's why actions speak louder than words. That's why actions are even more powerful than our words also. And so it's important to really take a look. Even though we might speak maybe the right words at times, that is, we can always do the right thing in our actions. In a very famous quote by an unknown author, that is, the author tells us, watch your thoughts because they become your words. Watch your words because they become your actions. Watch your actions because they become your habits. Watch your habits because they become your character. And watch your character because your character becomes your destiny. And if you really think about it, how true that is, it's a really good thing sometimes to just step back and really think about and evaluate our thoughts, our words, and our actions, because they do indeed become our character, and they do indeed in the end determine our destiny also. That is, in a great quote from the book of Proverbs, I'm sorry, not the book of Proverbs, from the book of Sirach, we are told, as the fruit tree shows the care that it has had, so does one's speech or actions show what is in the person's mind and what is in the person's heart. While addressing the crowds in the gospel that is our Lord reminds us that it is not the evil from the outside that determines what's in, or it is not evil that comes from the outside, but rather is evil that comes from the inside. That's where evil really starts. That's the start of all evil, from what's in our heart, from perhaps evil thoughts or sinful thoughts that begin in the depths of our heart. And so that is why it's such an important thing to really evaluate. That is what is in our heart. That is, in another good quote as well, we must remind ourselves, and the book of Proverbs tells us. Actually, that's a little bit later on. I'm not used to looking and referring to things. I'm just talking, and that works out better sometimes. But it is an important thing to really evaluate our words, our thoughts, words, and actions. And I think it's important just to take, in a very brief way, one at a time. First, when it comes to our thoughts, that is, and as our Lord, told us, that is the start of everything. And so in regard to our thoughts, it's important to take a look at what do we expose our thoughts, our minds to, the external stimuli that's out there. That is, we should take a good look at that, because if we expose our thoughts to sinful or inappropriate things, that then those things can take root in our hearts, things that we don't want to take root in our hearts. Or if we expose or surround ourselves even to sinful people, or people that are bad influences on us, that can affect also the thoughts that we have in our hearts also. So at the very start of everything, it's important to really look at the external things or people that we expose ourselves to. Then it's important to look at words. Words are very powerful, and we even only have to look at the words that God spoke in the book of Genesis. That is, when God created the world that we live in, he used the power of his words. That is, he said, "Let there be light," and there was light. Now, of course, our words don't have the power that God's words have, but our words do have a power in them. That is, our words have the power to encourage or to discourage, to build up or to tear down. That is, our words can be very powerful, not only the words we speak to others, but the words we speak to ourselves also. And here's where the book of Proverbs comes in and tells us that the words of the wicked are a deadly ambush, but the speech of the upright delivers them. And to guard against unhelpful words, St. Paul tells us, "Let no evil talk come out of your mouths, but only what is useful to build up as there is a need, so that your words may give grace to those who hear." And so the words that we use towards others and the words that we even speak to ourselves have power also. And then, of course, there's actions. And as we all know, perhaps actions are are the things that we can easily observe, that we can observe the actions of others, and they can observe our own actions also. And a key gospel passage in regard to actions is the parable where our Lord tells us where the father asks two of his sons to work in the vineyard. And one says, "Yes, I will," and does not go. And the second says, "No, I won't," but then he feels bad and he winds up helping his father. And then our Lord tells us that only the second son really did the father's will. And if you really think about it, then that's why actions speak louder than words. That's why actions are even more powerful than our words also. And so it's important to really take a look. Even though we might speak maybe the right words at times, that is, we can always do the right thing in our actions. And as St. John tells us, he says, "Little children, let us love not in mere words or talk, but in deeds and in truth." And so as Lent, believe it or not, is coming up this coming Wednesday, that is, perhaps it's a really good time to step back and really evaluate our thoughts, words, and actions. That is, in our thoughts, do we spend time in true prayer and reflection and think about the godly things in our lives and in our world? Or in our words, that is, do we tend to encourage others, help others, build up others? Or do we tend to criticize, judge, or condemn others? That is, and then in our actions, that is, our actions more of the charitable and helpful actions, or do our actions tend to be just very selfish and self-serving? But these are the things that are really important to evaluate, and especially in the season of Lent also. And so perhaps even a great place to start as we enter Lent also is to really appreciate and to think about how important prayer, reflection, and even silence is, to take time to really quiet ourselves and be silent in the presence of our God. Of course, we all know the saying that silence is golden, and perhaps it is. Or as Abraham Lincoln once said, he said, "It is better to remain silent and have others think you a fool, or to speak and open up your mouth and to remove all doubt." I'm sure we all had that happen, right? Or even in our country, one of the rights that we all have when people are read their rights is the right to remain silent. Sometimes we perhaps could all practice this right more often. That is to really think before we speak, and to really think before we act. And so, as we enter Ash Wednesday and the Lenten season, let us take note then. That is, let us spend more time in prayer and thoughts about God and thoughts about our faith. Let us use words that tend to truly help others, encourage others, and inspire others. And may our actions, that is, may others see through our actions that indeed we are a very godly person, that we are a Christian, and that we love God dearly. For the more we can think and talk and act like God's sons and daughters, the more indeed we will become his authentic sons and daughters also.